be strong in the Force is one thing, but to believe oneself to be all-powerful is to invite catastrophe. Remember that even in the ethereal realm we inhabit, the unforeseen can occur.
Don't neglect, forget, or diminish the importance of small things. Don't forget to appreciate the small things in life. Welcome to Monad of Creation, episode 23. Today, we're going to talk about destiny. And destiny is something that people often think about when they think about discipline, which was the last episode. And destiny is ultimately your purpose in life and your life goal. What is your life goal? What is that future potentiality that you desire? Or the future potentiality, more specifically, that is destined for you. Your destiny. What is destined in your future? What is destined for the majority of the rest of your truly eternal life? You know, these questions that people often fixate on, they often obsess over, and they often worry way too much about. So, it's going to get a lot more candid here. And I've noticed that, truth and knowledge are equally fixated on as ascension and spirituality is fixated on. And I have made the observation, and I've developed the knowing that fixating on knowledge and truth and making truth a religion at one point in my life was not the destiny I wanted to create anymore, because I realized that knowledge and truth are serious, they are important, and they should be concentrated on, paid attention to, if one desires to pay attention to it. I'm not even going to get into why knowledge and truth are important, because I've talked about that ad infinitum. I've talked about that way too much, and it also should be, as I've always said, it should be blatantly clear why truth and knowledge are important. That being said, embodiment, integration, and behavior, mindset, if you will, those things are of utmost importance, because no matter what you know, no matter how much truth you have attained in yourself, if your behavior is not in alignment with your knowledge, but if your behavior is egoic, narcissistic, lazy, any of these things, it's not good, right? So, ultimately, destiny is what you make it. There's no predestined potential potentiality in the future that is fixed, set in stone. There is no future situation, potentiality that is written in the heavens, written anywhere at all. Reality for an individual is what they choose to make it. Their situation could involve a lot of external control, which may affect them, but they still have the choice of how to accept the situation for what it is and pave their path how they will. Once again, where is your will placed? What is your will in alignment with? What are you in alignment with? I don't know what you're in alignment with. So an individual's destiny is what they make it. And add individuals upon individuals upon individuals, they multiply and maybe create a planet or a reality system comprising of many individuals. Reality as a whole is what we make it, right? As individuals, as sovereign, actualized selves. Hopefully, actualized selves. So, when you're existing, you always have choices to make. You always have perception. You always have an agenda, a motive. You always have desires, wants, needs. All of these components are a part of being a being, and more specifically, being a human being, because that's what we are here. We are consciousnesses residing in human bodies. I don't need to prove that to you. That's irrelevant right now. It's very irrelevant right now. You're a being. If you're listening to this, you're individuated, sure. And you have really a generative core is what I like to call it, where you have a foundation, you have tools, you have your eternal self, your nature, running at the very core of your being. And depending on how your generative core, which I will break down in a future episode, depending on how well you are existing, how optimally, how evolutionarily you are existing, or if you happen to be suffering and pulling yourself out of that, admitting and knowing and acknowledging and working through all the muck and grime within yourself, bringing forth what's within yourself, bringing that forth, acknowledging it, maybe expressing it if you have to, clearing, purifying with the cleansing fire from within. Depending on how well you're doing that, as a being, will determine what happens to you. And this is all simple. It's all mundane. People often want to have destinies that are filled with wonder, fantasy, vast success, huge successes, huge breakthroughs, huge things. They want things. Often, frantic individuals desire those destinies, those paths to take. And reality is a lot more simple, mundane, and truly neutral and natural. than that, humanity is ultimately here to hold space for each other, hold space, and really be stewards of the earth. And that doesn't involve being some superhero. It doesn't involve being Luke Skywalker or a knight in shining armor, or this is genderless. This is totally genderless. It doesn't matter. We're not here to be these profound heroes. We're not saviors. We're not here to be these all-encompassing save everything you see, You save yourself, if anything. If you choose to better yourself, you save yourself. Sure, through sometimes help from others. Make sure that help is also based in pure motives, and they are placing responsibility on you. If someone or something external is trying to help you or offering wisdom, make sure that they are placing the responsibility on you and they're not feeding off of your attention, because feeding off attention is parasitic in nature. It's an attribute of ego. It's an attribute of, honestly, pathetic existence, rotting existence. So, we get help from each other, we help ourselves, we save ourselves. No one else saves us. And humans, we have these jobs, 9-to-5s often, a lot of us. Not many of us are organic, free range, totally self-sovereign and 3D in the physical reality individuals. Not everyone does that. A lot of people are still in cities. A lot of people are still in communities that you have to go to a grocery store. You're dependent on something to survive physically, and it's not so simple, yet it's entirely mundane. And our destinies are what we make them in the confines of the situations we are in, the conditions we're in. So to constantly expect and hope for a grand future of accomplishment and attention and profound, huge success, that could look like a lot of things. Let me remind you, I describe characteristics and attributes of things that are present in many things, in many behaviors, and many identities, often in many artificial, illusory, finite selves. Characters people like to play. So, destiny is what we make it. And the present now moment is so easy to get fixated on. You want to holistically concentrate on the present now moment, holistically concentrate and know and be aware of your options, of your potentialities, of your frequency, your thoughts, your emotions, feelings, motives, and agendas. You want to holistically concentrate and know those things in the present now moment, and you want to concentrate on the present now moment, pay attention to it. But the second beings fixate on the present now moment, when you're talking in terms of future potentiality, which is truly destiny, when you're fixating on the present now moment, even if you are paying attention with frantic hyper energy, maybe ungrounded, maybe not entirely aware, if you're fixating on the present now moment, you might not be getting the same integrative awareness, the same results that you wanted. And these results often, when you fixate on the present now moment. Hyper focus on the present now moment. You think you're getting what you want. You think you're getting what you want. You think you're on the path, your eternal path. Or you're not aware that what you're doing is what you're doing. You're not aware that what you're doing is what you're doing. It's this hyper fixation on the now, where you haven't taken the time to slow down and think. This pausing, this stopping, this laying down in a field or laying down in a dark room, stopping, pausing, really thinking about what all that has been in your life, all that has been, all that is, and all that could be with imagination based in holistic intelligence and truth. So the present now moment needs to be focused on, needs to be concentrated on, and needs to be in your total awareness. Things, when you're perceiving things in general, in terms of path and your future, your destiny, the future potentiality that's probably good for you. When you focus on things, when you concentrate on things that are truly evolutionary, when you focus on things that are truly evolutionary, and you're aware, you pay attention to. You're aware. You're paying attention to things that are not evolutionary. You pay attention to things that might not agree with you. You don't run away and hide. You face it. You know it. But you're not obsessing over it. You're not fixating. And you're not concentrating and focusing on it. You focus, direct your energy, direct your thought forms towards the most truly evolutionary, eternal choices and situations you can generate. Through focusing, concentrating with calm, high energy, calm, high frequency energy. You're steady, you're slow, you're decisive, you're discerning, you're thinking clearly and calmly. But the frequency is high, so you're thinking of all the potentialities that you can think of. Your frequency is high, so you're aware of as much as you can be aware of. The frequency is high because you are doing the best you can, and you respect yourself, you unconditionally love yourself. Frequency is high, you're calm, you're steady, you're chill, sure. And you know you are where you should be. Everyone is where they should be. Everything happens for a reason, this idea. Everything happens for a reason, all these types of things, the learning situations. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I got religious about truth. I got dogmatic about truth for about, I want to say, 6 months of my life. And I am so glad I did, because the way I came out of being religious about truth was similar to cult testimonials, Truth was my God. Truth was my deity. Truth was my savior. Folks, people listening, beings anywhere, truth is a vital component of reality. All that is and never has been that which is, you know. But honestly, most presented truths ultimately are still theories, and most things that are common sense are also technically theoretical. And also, most things that people talk about in terms of truth and knowledge are external. So if you're focusing on the external, focusing on that which is outside of you all the time, and trying to teach people about things that are outside of everybody without giving them a solid foundation, that's what I was doing. So now, that learning situation, you know, it happened for a reason. You know, some people could say, yeah, that sucks. You acted foolish for deeming some beings fools, or maybe a little frantic about truth and religious about truth. But no, this is how I operate. This is my perspective, right? And I'm offering it with you. You can throw it in the trash can. You can listen to it, observe it holistically, and just let it sit. Or maybe you're encrypted to just know this is how it works, and you're listening intently, and you just get it, and you're like, duh. I'm glad he's saying it, but duh. You know what I mean? So I got religious about truth. Truth was my God, and I wanted to spread the gospel of knowledge. So it was a great learning lesson, you know. And it did happen for a reason. And it's really complex in this regard, because where I was at, I was not as actualized as I am now. So getting frantic often is a learning lesson that is a component of an eternal destiny, because people get lost in the sauce all the time. I am still lost in the sauce because, you know, a lot of my template is not 100% cleared of muck and grime. I'm happy with where I'm at, because I know that where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be, and I love all reality regardless of the external situations. Being okay and accepting where you're at is a vital component. I think I've said it in the show before. This is my perspective, but throw me in a gulag, throw me in a really bleak physical situation, you know. This is totally just nonsense that I'm throwing out there. For example, this is an example. You know, any bleak situation I'm in at this point, this is not special. I'm not special. Forget me, but I recognize that it's a gift to exist. It's a gift to have consciousness that is intact enough to think and feel. And the quality of thinking and feeling is totally based on the individual's, what we've talked about, the generative core that I laid out a second ago briefly. And the quality of feeling and thinking, you know, it doesn't matter where anybody's at. Everyone is precious. In the eyes of the cosmos, everyone is precious. In the eyes of any truly authentic being, everything is precious. In the eyes of any truly authentic human, all situations are precious. Yes, it's paradoxical. 2021 in the aggregate, this is also paradoxical, because in angelic nihilism, I said it's bleak and it's not looking good for anybody on the planet. That's true, but do you know what? That not looking good situation is precious, because it's a learning experience. So as long as we're treating our situations as individuals as learning experiences, going forward and sitting in the present now moment, focusing, concentrating on potentialities, concentrating on what's within us, knowing what's within us, knowing your capabilities, your aptitude, knowing these things, the awareness helps you know the external conditions, knowing what you're apt in, your ability, your choices, and the potentialities you can craft from your skill sets, what is within you, and also being receptive to the unknown, being receptive to eternal, immutable spirit, sure. Just being receptive to the unknown and knowing what is and flowing and making wise choices. Wise choices and flowing with time. Because if you're making wise choices and you're knowing yourself and your situation to the best you can, with calm attitude and high frequency, good awareness, if you're flowing like that, you are creating time. What is time? What is time but the now? What is time but all that is now? All that has been and all that will be. Okay, so what is time? Is it everything? What is time? Is it a fixed, linear, predestined reality system? What is time? Does it not exist at all? Is it based upon the perception? So, destiny is very interesting. Destiny is what you make it. Your life is what you make it. Reality is what you make it. The external truths, the external situations, the external things that are, the things that will be, you don't make those. You don't make those. Your experience, typically the New Agers and I don't know, the spiritual people who don't really think too well about what they're saying or believing in, they'll say you create your reality, you create your reality. I like to refine that with, you create your experience within the structure of reality. And your free will choices determine the potentiality you generate. So no, it's not that everything is predestined and you have no choice. And no, it's also not that you create your reality and everything is just dandelions and rainbows all the time. No. The predestined component, if you will, the immutable law, if you will, the constant, if you will, is the framework, the structure of reality. And then the generative creative component is the consciousness, the beings, the energetics, the energy, spirit that manifests through that structure, and life happens. Choice is the crux. Free will choice is the crux of destiny, of your potentialities, of your path. And it's very serious, yet it's very mundane and it's all enjoyable if you can act accordingly and your attitude is in alignment with the first fields of intelligence, in alignment with yourself, and you really care about others, yourself, clearing muck and grime as much as you can. You don't have to fixate on it. No, you shouldn't fixate on it. As I said, I did that. I made truth a religion. I am being a little candid here. You know, I make mistakes all the time, and I love my mistakes. I adore my mistakes because they are opportunities where I can learn and get better. My perspective. My perspective, my perspective, my perspective, right? So, you learn from your mistakes, no matter how putrid and disgusting they are, no matter how silly and benign they are. You learn from your mistakes, and you evolve from them. You don't stay in the past. You don't fixate on the future. You don't stay in the past, and you don't fixate on the future. You don't even really think a lot about the past, and you don't really even think a lot about the future. And then you make sure you don't fixate on the now, because fixating is frantic. Your obsessive, frantic behavior, and you're sort of missing a lot of components of the present now moment. You have the calm, calculated, yet flowing perception of the now moment and awareness of self, knowledge of self. Slowing down is going to be important. Going to be an important thing for people to know and feel as a vital component of the self-remembrance, self-growth, healing, whatever, self-healing, self-sovereignty. Because this world, no matter if you are a working dad, providing for a family, and you're broke, or a very wealthy mom, or a punk rocker who doesn't have much to worry about. No matter who you are, the world is encouraging us to go, go, go. Go fast. Do, do, do. And if you're pretty aware, you're probably in the trap of heal, 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 ascend, 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 or become enlightened, and no, no, no. And the receptive, intuitive, unutterable, ineffable knowledge you will get is very unconscious in the unconscious mind. And if you're not slowing down and integrating well in stillness, that receptivity might not be known. And all paths prove valid, as I said. Paradox of intelligence. Literally everyone's precious. This is something that has to be reminded. Everyone is precious. Everything is precious. And sure, it's my perspective, but everything is precious. And unconditional love for all creation is equally important as everything as I've talked about. Because as soon as there is someone to blame and you become a victim all the time, victimizing others, your capabilities and potentialities won't be the destiny that you truly, purely desire. So all these reminders are things that I've talked about with friends, family, eternal family, and things I've hinted at in the show. And destiny is what you make it. It's your future potentiality that you don't know yet because you don't know the future. It's based in the now moment and what you're running. So, one-time donation through the PayPal, Patreon support with workshop recording access. You know, the Twitch channel at HigoDamask144, Instagram, the Telegram, and let me give a movie recommendation. I recommend watching My Neighbor Totoro if anyone hasn't. That's a good one to recommend right now. My Neighbor Totoro. And I unconditionally love you. Eternal gratitude. Check yourself. Respect yourself. Enjoy yourself. Do what must be done.